So here we have it. This is a really special bike, and we acquired this for my friend for his personal collection in Japan, Sammy. This is a 1927 model year Sunbeam Model 90. It's called 90, denoting really that it probably should do 90 miles an hour back in the day. But very special bike, very recognisable because of these high-level pipes on it. So it's a single-cylinder 500cc, but with these twin port, these high-level pipes. And this bike belonged, or was ordered and belonged to a guy called Bob Lowe. He was a very active member of North London Motorcycle Club back in the 1920s, and he used this bike extensively for the long-distance trials that were or endurance trials that were popular in the day. And he campaigned this bike from late December 26 when he got it, through till about 1933, and it rode in multiple events, most famously the London to Edinburgh trial, and there is an incredible photo of him finishing that, which I'll show you in a minute. But yeah, it's quite a special bike. This was the sports model, the Model 90, but he specified some unique features to this bike from the factory, and they did it for him in the factory so that he could use it for the endurance trials of the day. So the high-level pipes, he designed these and they made them to the pattern. That's because on those trials, you often, back in the day, there was gravel roads, you'd go through brooks or weirs, or well, not weirs, what do you call them? Yeah, brooks, isn't it, at the time, to get where you're going. So we had the high-level pipes giving a bit more clearance. Also, there were sections that were sort of semi-off-road or even full off-road, so this kept them out of the mud and the water. Fully enclosed chain case, which was a feature of Sunbeams at the time, but not on the Model 90, so the sporty bike wouldn't have normally had this, but he had that again, so it just gave him less maintenance issues on the long-distance trials. Also, this Valance mudguard rather than the racing one, so it's got these side sections and the Valance on the back, a bit more weather protection. Had a full lighting kit on it as well, this bike, and the original lighting kit is still with it, so hence it's got a magneto and a dynamo on there for charging the electrics or keeping the electrics going, so it's a mag dyno rather than just a magneto. And then he's also got a rear carry rack with the toolboxes. Very practical, keeping a few spares on to get you there. And finally, to finish it off, this glorious Bonnickson Speedo, which when I posted a feature of that on Instagram, it went berserk. People loved it. So twin needle, and for 2.5 seconds at a time, it will hold your exact speed and the other needle will spin round. So and this wonderful drive system, which, yeah, you definitely wouldn't want to get anything trapped in there. So any pigeons or anything that might be coming in the road are going to get minced in that if they get anywhere near it. But this was also known as the bullnose Sunbeam, and the bullnose refers to the shape of the tank. So if you come around here, Alex, you can see from the front how the tank bulges out in that fashion. Yeah. So these were the bullnose Sunbeams, built in Wolverhampton by the Marsden Company. Really high quality, very expensive in their day. You know, you're looking at the best part of £90 for one of these single-cylinder bikes. In fact, a bit more when you specify certain bits on it. So they're very expensive, made in really low numbers, the Model 90. I think there was only about 14 built in this year. So it's a rare bit of kit with unbelievable history. And the history file with this bike is worth showing because I've never seen anything like it. Look, so Bob Lowe was fastidious in keeping everything. Here's an original receipt when he bought the bike he owned before this. He had a Sunbeam, a 3.5 horsepower side valve. £120, sir, thank you very much, in 1923. He kept that for, nearly 4 years before he purchased the one that we're looking at here. So you can see he bought it directly from the factory, John Marsden Limited. And his part exchange included, he got £50 back for his old bike. It would have been £133 with all the taxes and extras. So he had to part with £83 and his old motorbike to get this, which back then was a lot of money. But it was a hell of a machine. There's also more receipts in here when he had the high-level exhaust made and other tweaks to it directly from the factory. So beautiful to see these. Yeah, look, 1927, fabulous. And in here as well, it's quite exciting. Here's the photo that I was just mentioned. So this is Bob, number 31 at the front there, cigarette in mouth, goggles on his head. This is the Royal Mile up in Edinburgh. So he's ridden from London non-stop. It's hammering it down with rain. You can see the umbrellas in the background. And doesn't he look? He looks so cool. I just think the coolest man alive at the time on that bike. It is just wonderful, and there's just endless amounts of history in there. This bike also then competed in the 50th anniversary run. So that London to Edinburgh run started in 1904. So it was an epic event. We've also got a box full of medals and cups that he won during that period. And again, this sort of thing, I'll briefly show you a couple of these, because here's all his original programmes and entry forms. So London to Yarmouth and back to London, 1926, so nearly 100 years old. There's your programme list of entrants. He also did quite a bit of marshalling at these events as well. So there's a file full of these different ones. London, Yarmouth, again, the bloater trial, they called that in 1925. So this is all his entry forms, programmes and history, which is just beautiful to see. And then he kept, on top of that, I'll quickly show you a bit of this, a full scrapbook. So every event he rode in from 1923 right through to sort of the late 20s or 1933 on that bike, he kept, the results would be published in Motorcycle magazine. He kept a copy. So, look, awarded an ashtray. He won for finishing it. Again, ashtrays were obviously popular at the time because everybody smoked. Club badge was awarded for that. If he didn't finish, he put on there as well. So this just awarded silver spoon in that event, so on and so forth. So these are all cut out of the magazines. These are 1923. Award, silver spoon, blah, blah, blah. So, unbelievable history. Fabulous time capsule of the period. So like I said, this bike purchased on behalf of my friend Sammy. He's got a wonderful collection of flat tankers in Japan. He actually first saw this bike in 2006. It came up for sale at Verrall's. So Ian Hatton had it for sale down there with a couple of other bikes. At the time, Sammy couldn't afford it. It was too much for him. So he's lusted after it for nearly 20 years. And then when it came up in auction at the Stafford Spring Sale with Bonhams earlier this year, he couldn't believe his luck, and we were successful in acquiring it for him. And yeah, he's so excited to get his hands on this and parade it, ride it, and use it in Japan. So we're going to take this out on a run with the beautiful Triumph, 1938 Triumph Tiger 100. We're not going to go to Edinburgh and back because we haven't got time today, so we'll probably just go to High Cross and back, but we'll give it some exercise and yeah, look forward to it. Let me stand up. See, it's frothing a bit of petrol out the top. That's all right, it's breathing. Breathing. Right, we're on a hill there. Oil is on a little drip meter there, if you like, but that's already on because we've just been out, so make sure that's on. Fuel's on this side, one tap. Little tickle of the carb, as usual. Doesn't need much. You can see plenty of fuel coming out there. There's no needle on these carbs. It says air and throttle. So give it a bit of throttle. Air seems to like it in that procedure there. Advance, tight wire advance, we retard it a little bit. Free the clutch. Top one. That's right. Top dead centre, on compression, slightly over. A bit more throttle. We'll give her a big kick. There we are.
are. What do you think?
It's a wonderful machine to ride. Really involving. I absolutely love it. It's a joy and a pleasure, and it goes well. So you can actually ride it and not feel like holding anyone up. So yeah, proper piece of history and absolute pleasure to ride it.
Yeah, torquey, isn't it?
It is torquey. Once you get the rhythm of what hand where at what time, it actually isn't too difficult to ride. You just need to go and do 20 miles on it and you're in the flow and it'll just go. Yeah, I mean it's light, the brakes are reasonable, plenty of torque. It'll sit at 50 mile an hour, probably more if you really wanted to push it, no problem. So yeah, it's really usable and it looks the business. Everybody looks at it and thinks, what is that?
What's the sequence?
Cut your leg over it.
Were you waiting for me?
Yeah, sorry mate.
Okay.
Front brake is there.
Yeah.
Right, you will pull it all the way back to that.
Yeah.
So just take time, brake loads in the hands. Rear brake is obviously here.
Yep.
Both are spongy as hell, but they do work.
Yeah.
And that's your clutch.
That's the clutch. What's this? Decompressor.
That's going to kill it, yeah.
Okay.
So if worse comes to worse, you're a bit confused, just pull the clutch in and stop.
Yeah.
Gearing wise, so it's neutral there, so it's one down for first. And then you've got to try and find second, which you'll stay in for a bit. Once you get a few revs up there, you'll be in top and you'll be able to... But when you're in top, when you first go in, this lever's going to be right down here.
Okay.
To give you the chug that you need. Don't touch the top one, just deal with this one. And you're constantly on your thumb pulling it and getting it how you want. It's a bit of a handful, but
okay.
All I tend to do, yeah, just pull the clutch in and sort your gears out as and when.
Let's do it.
Okay, oil's on, fuel on.
Over the top and big kick?
Yeah. It's fine compression. Got you.
Feels like it's on it.
Yeah, just tip it over then. With your valve lifter. That one.
Okay.
Right over it. Are you over it enough? Go down to the bottom of it normally. That's it, right. Try and give it a big kick now.
No.
Right, get it onto compression. You're on, yeah, go, just let it tip nearly all the way down to the bottom. Bit more, right down to the bottom. Keep going, keep going. Right, okay, pull it back up and then give it a big oof.
Let's go.
Don't just worry about the top one, it's all about that one. Use your thumb if you can.
Yeah. Right.
Remember, just hover over the clutch.
Yeah.
Just in case it starts juddering or you think it's going to stop. Always have a hand near there.
Yeah. Let's go.
Right, let me start that one then and I'll follow you.
Yeah.
So first gear will crunch a bit.
I know. Straight down. Yep. Whack it.
Right, I'll start.
Okay.
did you stop that?
I don't know. Holy hell.
It's very involved.
That's a whole yeah.
Right then, Alex, you've just had full-on road experience on the Sunbeam. What do you reckon?
So very complicated, a little bit daunting at the first to get my head around starting at number one, but also then once you're going, I was surprised I didn't install it, but once you're going, then changing gears, and John told me it crunched a little bit when you go into first, and also did in second and third. But since I knew that, it was fun to change, but using the hand change, the hand throttle, and going between the two, I mean, I spent 10 minutes on it now and sort of got the hang of it, but you know, I was concentrating very hard, and usually I don't have to concentrate.
You did well,
so I
mate.
think that's the big learn with it, but the power, it's got a lot of torque, it's got loads.
So you converted to a flat tanker?
Really enjoyed it, yeah. We're going to do a few more runs now, but very nice bike, very nice.